Today on the show, we're going to be talking about my top 5 favourite MMORPGs of all time. So, MMORPGs. Massively multiplayer online role-playing games. I have a long and intense history with this genre of games. My first one was actually in the early 2000s, and it was this game called Fenris, or Fentius, something like that, and it was like this Dungeons and Dragons style game, and it shut down 3 weeks after me starting it. After that game ended, I went on and did the whole Fly for Fun and MapleStory thing, you know, quite standard MMORPGs for the early 2000s. And then in about 2004, I became what was known as an MMO hopper, where you would play a new MMO every single day. So if someone said, hey, I'm gonna go and play this, you'd be like, oh cool, I'll play too. And you'd go to register and it'll be like, sorry, that person already has an account. And you'd be like, I have no recollection of this place. So when it comes to my top 5 favourite MMORPGs, I do have a longer history of some than others, but all of these games are games that I've played every day for at least 2 months in a row. So with that in mind, at number 5 we have Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. This game succeeded at doing something that very few MMOs actually do. It created a crafting system that was actually useful and that I actually cared about and would rather use than the market system. I actually did the whole week-long early access thing in the summer, and it was insane. It was near impossible to log in. I think there was one day when I actually didn't get to log in once. What I enjoy about this game is that it encourages you to try multiple jobs. Like to be a summoner, you need to be a thaumaturge and an arcanist. One thing that really surprised and impressed me is that I'm partial to free-to-play MMORPGs, but although this game is subscription-based, I didn't feel like I was wasting my money. So because this game doesn't feel like a waste of money because of the crafting system and because of the world, this game gets number 5. At number 4 we have World of Warcraft. Now I started playing World of Warcraft at the end of WoW Vanilla and at the beginning of Burning Crusade, and I really enjoyed it. I stuck with this game through thick and thin, right up until Pandas. Now keep in mind that by the time Pandaria came out, I wasn't really logging in all that much anymore. I was logging in about once a month, so WoW really was just a waste of my money. Also, WoW isn't the same game now as it was when I first started. The community is much smaller now on the EU server, but the world is much bigger, which just means there's really no one to talk to. The thing with WoW though, is that its lore and its storylines are so rich, you can play on your own just for the story and it will be amazingly entertaining. So even though I think the community aspect of this game is just gone now, the lore is so rich and the game is so entertaining that it gets number 4. Swiftly on to number 3, and we have Tera Online. Tera Online is probably the best looking MMORPG out there, and I know some of you are gonna go, but Faust, it's mostly fan service. Look, if you don't like looking at attractive people, that's your problem, not mine. This game's world building really isn't all that great. There's next to none of it, so by the time you can actually explore the whole world, you don't really appreciate it unless you think about it. This being said, on the EU servers there is a really strong community aspect which I love because you never see that these days. My only real complaint about this game is that I used to play it on my old laptop, but it made my old laptop get so hot, it died. I really do enjoy this game, its gameplay is amazing, the battle system is great, and okay, it's pay to win, but that's to be expected because it used to be pay to play. So for amazing visuals, great stories, and a world that has a lot of potential, Tera Online gets number 3. At number 2, we have DC Universe Online. I like comics. No, I like comics. No, I really like comics. If I could become a superhero in the real world, I would totally do it. but unfortunately I don't have the funds to travel around the world and train under the world's greatest fighting masters like Bruce Wayne, so the next best thing is to play DC Universe Online. I really like this game, I like it a lot, but what I find weird about it is that I think it's for comic book fans that also like video games, and there really isn't as much crossover as people think. This game really does feel like it's come straight out of the comic book world and has been slightly adapted, and the characters, they're at their best in this game. My biggest complaint about this game is that the world is really small, and Gotham just seems like a recolor of Metropolis, which isn't good. I would really like to see them add another 2 or 3 cities and highways that connect them. Like, they could add San Francisco, they could add a Hell Dimension, they could add so many places and it would be great. They could add Tokyo, that would be amazing. Another issue about this game that I have is that I don't like paying for it, but I don't like playing it without the subscription bonuses, so I have a really big issue there. If there was like a big fee that I could pay to get unlimited subscription-based bonuses, I would do that, and I would be on this game for hours every day if I could do that. This being said, DC Universe Online is an incredibly good game that is still going strong, and it gets my seal of approval, so that's why it gets number 2. So number 1, what could it be? I've got some fantasy on this list, I've got some sci-fi on this list, so what could it be? Is it something new? Kind of. At number 1, we have Mabinogi. So Mabinogi and I go way back, and by way back I mean to 2007 or 2008, one of the two. So I got an invitation to the open beta of the North American Mabinogi, and I downloaded it, but I couldn't log into the game, and it turned out that they had actually had an IP block so people in Europe couldn't play it. After doing a bit of research as to how I could play Mabinogi, I actually found out that there was an English-speaking community on the Taiwanese Mabinogi. So I downloaded that and I logged into that, and I met all of the amazing people on the Taiwanese server. Now when I was on the Taiwanese server, I will say that it was the people that kept me around and not necessarily the game itself. I really didn't understand what was going on and I really wasn't that good at it. But then, through means which we won't discuss, I got to log in to the North American one. After logging into the North American version, I realized that this game's story is good. Like, it is really good. It's probably the best story in a free-to-play MMORPG that I have ever seen. Back in the day, you used to have to pay for pets to get around really easily, but these days that kind of thing is free, which is great. Also, it is the only game that I have ever seen that has successfully managed to combine the hyper-Japanese fashion styles with the fantasy life aesthetic, and it works so well. The crafting system in this game is incredibly impressive, and the battle system, once you get your head around it, is really, really good. In this game, you can do dungeons, you can PvP, you can follow a story, you can customize almost anything, you can have pets, you can have a home. You can do almost anything that you could imagine, which is why it gets number 1. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. Please let me know in the comments down below what are your favorite MMORPGs, and also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more video game videos, and also don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Video Games, and it is super effective.